You're so welcome to the show, and I hope you enjoy what happens here over the next hour or so. To find out who the first guest is, let me hand you over to our beautiful MC for the evening, the wonderful Fred Cooke.
Thank you, Tommy. Well, our first guest is Mr. Dylan Moran.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Ah. Is this happening yet?
Yeah. I love that suit.
You do?
Well, I mean, I have to. I have to look at it for a while. Come on.
I'm worried about you.
Huh?
I'm worried about you.
Oh, that's
So,
it's a big opening.
yeah, it's a big. We'll finish small. Have you just come off like a massive world tour or something?
Yeah.
Were you like on the road for like 2.5, 3 years or something? Like
I was kind of in and out of the road all the time. Yeah. I was, years. It was a mad sort of tumble, you know, kind of warp of dates. You know, it was all over Europe and everything. I was in like 22 cities and over 7 weeks or something. You know, and the gaffs are all different. You know,
Of course, yeah.
You know, Slovakia is not, you know, Prague, and Prague's not whatever. I don't know.
And did the rhythm of that suit you?
Well, that kind of...
Did the solitude of it suit you?
Well, no. I mean, look, it's mad, you know. It's not necessarily healthy. And then I went on tour to Australia a week after that. So, you know, I could have done with more downtime.
Yeah.
And that was me just, you know, not thinking it through and just sort of charging at stuff. And
Because you were choosing it. You were saying, I want to tour here. And
yeah.
Let's keep this going.
Yeah. I was. Yeah. And so, you know, sometimes, you know, you take on too much, and you know, I misjudged it.
Yeah.
Which I've done a few times. You know, I've made bad calls. I've messed it up. I've fucked it up royally here and there. You know. And taken a real, you know, flying sort of tumble. But you know, so what? You do feel very stupid though, and I had a big fear of feeling stupid for too long.
I don't understand that.
Well, just kind of like really fucking it up.
The show
Anything,
or
everything. But the show, sure. The show. I hate fucking up shows, and I have fucked up a few shows. You know, it's a. You know, it drives every comic mad, I think.
Yeah.
You know. But sometimes you have to go there. You've done that. You've had mad, melty shows.
Yeah.
You know. And you find stuff out. You know. You don't want blood on the floor all the time. You don't want this experiential kind of, you know, rotivating kind of technique all the time, because it's going to knacker you and everyone else out. You know, sometimes I'm quite up for a bit of fluidity, you know?
Yeah.
And just gentle jamming and things working out. So, you know, you got to keep it moving as well. That's the thing. Middle-aged men collapse into their own, you know, their own systems, their own bullshit. They all do.
So, and is that unavoidable?
Well, no, but you've got to fight it. You've got to do something.
Do you go long periods without doing stand-up?
Yes, I think you have to. By times, you have to, because otherwise, who's talking? If you're always talking, you never get to hear the sound of your own shut-upness.
Yeah.
Which is letting the mills turn and let yourself. Think is not necessarily the right word, but just be and kind of let your weather cycles drift through you, and, you know, abide with yourself a bit and observe yourself, and, you know, take yourself less seriously and allow yourself to fall apart and reassemble a few times.
But you seem to have this, when you were young, a kind of great declaration of independence.
I don't know, but, you know, you don't attribute too much forethought or deliberation. You know, I didn't know what I was doing like anybody else. I was a kid, you know.
But there was still a kind
I'm so sorry my phone is ringing. I didn't turn it off properly.
That's all right.
I'm a terrible dick, you know, with all that stuff, packing and, you know, milk.
Yeah.
Milk's a whore.
You know, who do you read?
Now, these days.
Yeah, who are you reading?
Well, you see, that changes, don't you think? Because you read everything when you're a kid, you know, in your 20s and 30s even, I read everything and anything, and you know.
The classics, like all the Russian guys.
I read a lot of all the world theatre, like everybody, name anybody. I read them all. You know, all the playwrights. I read them all because I really wanted to. I had an acty phase when I was a teenager. You know? I had a painter phase.
You're good. The art that's at your shows is fantastic.
Oh, thanks very much. I'm going to do something with it because I kind of have so much now.
Yeah.
It's like leaves in my house. Fucking, you know, honest to God, I got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I got to do something with it. I do it instinctively. I do it all the time. I was doing it 5 minutes ago. So I do that like, I don't know, I do that like rosary beads or, what else do people do? What do you do? What are you at? You know, do you have a thing you're at? You don't smoke, so what are you at?
You mean apart from
do you footer with something?
No, I'm restless, so I never linger.
Get a thing.
Like?
Get a poker. You don't need a fire, just a poker. Just get.
For what purpose?
What do you mean purpose? What's this purpose shit? Purpose will kill you. Walk around with it, get a bit of clay and put it in your pocket and make shapes when you're talking to someone so they know how you feel, even if you don't get to say it.
And we give it to them as I'm going
to them at the
now.
end there. Enjoy that cube, my friend.
Yeah, here's a noose.
Yeah. Here's a cubic noose.
Wow. What's your approach to a performance now?
It should be an ecstatic time for you and for them. And that's something you have to access. You can't just breeze into that every day. You've got to unlock certain rooms within yourself through ritual, through taking it seriously, taking your time, relaxing, you know, all that stuff. Because if you just kind of boff around hating yourself, which is the method employed by most comics, myself included, for most of the time, you know, just being dissatisfied in a general sense, but in a fairly developed sense, because you got all that practice with that thing, you know, to really work on everything. So you allow that to get control. It'll run you. It'll ride you all over town. It'll make you very boring. That's the pits.
Totally. And what habits have you developed to deal with that after the show?
Well, you try not to let it happen ever, basically, because the way to avoid it is constant real engagement, however awkward or clunky or sticky it is, you know? And it is a lot of the time, because people are going, they're opposite one another, going, what the fuck? Because the promise of real intimacy, where you can go somewhere in a conversation, is so enticing, and the reward is so great, actually, and so worth it. But the kind of dance of entry into that is a particular thing, and both people have to believe that the other really wants to do it. It's just a kind of nervousness about engagement, you know? It's like when I was a kid, I remember 2 girls came to show me theirs, and I didn't show them mine. I welched on the deal, which is really crappy, you know? I've never forgotten it. That's why I drink water to this day.
Would I know them?
You know that pair. Everybody did. I wanted to show it to everybody.
Girls.
No. They're fine. Outstanding women. And I was degenerate, and I let them down on the deal. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Now, but, you know, you move on.
What are you working on at the minute?
Well, I have these times when stuff comes to me. How long do we talk for, by the way?
Doesn't matter.
Oh.
Whatever, yeah.
It's just water for the whole evening, is it? That's the deal, yeah? Just the one glass of water. This is brilliant. Cheers. Love the lamps. I have yolks coming at me, you know, at times, all at once. So I find that I couldn't write there for a while at all. Well, I couldn't. I don't know, I couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And so I was drawing a lot.
A lot of your pictures are dark, though. They've dark, brooding, male energy in them. There's a lot of kind of...
Frustrated.
A lot of screaming men and broken crows and...
I know, it's desperate, yeah. I started making music now as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that's good, because because the pictures have come kind of too easily. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can do endless lumpy men shooting out of me. But I needed something to slow me down, so I started playing music now. which slows me down because I can't. Do you know what I mean? So I play a piano and the baritone with a steel brush at the same time at the minute. That helps the nerves tremendously.
I think, yeah.
See, there's the stick for the baritone. Beater, or tipper, as it's sometimes called. You know? You have to be prepared. What if you go to a party and nothing's happening? I don't have a baritone, but you might meet the guy with one. Or a girl, who knows? Let's not call people names.
Yeah. Where are you living?
Well, I'm kind of repixelating at the moment, you know? I'm reassembling.
In a place, or?
Yeah, I'm looking to come back to Ireland, to be honest with you.
Where would you?
I don't know, where's the best place to live in
Where
Ireland?
would suit you? Where's the best place to live alone?
In Ireland. Not alone, in Ireland.
Are you city, like when you walk out?
Where there's woods, trees. But also, I can't drive. So it has to be woods in the city. Where's the best woods in Grafton Street?
You could live in Phoenix Park.
No, I want to. No,
You'd be
no.
a magnificent president.
I can't live in. Nobody can afford to live in Dublin.
No. So I've and I know I started off by saying I was worried about you. And I
Very Irish of you.
well, it's just because I do think about you, you know, and I guess I was just concerned that you were without anchor. So, but anytime I talk to you, then I'm not worried about you because you seem so sure of yourself, or even you're sure of your. You're so sure of your doubt. So anyway.
Well, you both spend a lot of time alone, right? You spend a lot of time alone. You're in the car going back and forth between gigs or whatever, you know. You're doing the gigs, you're prepping. You spend a lot of time in the rehearsal room of your skull. So, you know the sound of your own footfall when things are askew, when things are all right, when the world looks wonky, when the world is... You know, it should have stopped raining by now, so you're not seeing things right, you know, and all that. And it gets lonely, and it makes you a bit funny in the head, I would say, after a while. So I feel a bit tired by it, to be honest with you.
Tired?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
By
standing up in front of a lot of people going this, that, and the other. And that's why I'm messing around with music now, because I want to go somewhere else. And it makes you go somewhere else, because, the thing that always goes wrong is thinking you can control it. That's what's going to make everything boring. Always.
Control what, the reaction or the...
Everything. If you walk in, if you want to be one of those artists or people who make stuff, who think they can get every facet, you want to harmonise everything, you know. That's the dream is the stained glass window rushing to meet itself, you know. All coming together, you know, perfectly at the right time. But, you know, most of the time you end up with doodles and half-set things and, you know, the teeth are coming out the... you know, nose. So... But
you're compelled to play?
Yeah. Because if I don't, it actually hurts. It actually hurts. I actually feel pain. If I don't do this stuff, I go nuts. I have to make stuff, otherwise I go crazy. I just have to make something. I go mad. I can't explain it.
Yeah. It's a big instinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's playing piano... I don't care what this sounds like to the people.
No, I don't want to torture people or have a bad time. No, of course you want it to be good and fun and...
Where'd you do it? Like in the foyer of a hotel or a train station in America?
No, I did it. No, I have one at home, you know, a stupid keyboard.
Yeah.
Child's thing. And, or, you know, the colours, it lights up to tell you where to hit. I still can't even work that out.
Are you following lights?
At one point, I was following lights. And, but, you know, I played everywhere. I played all over the world. It was very funny. I used to tell the audience I played in Vienna, you know, I would go out. And then, because Vienna's full of amazing musicians. Vienna, for God's sake, you know. And I would go, and at one point the voice came out from the middle of this beautiful concert hall as I was going back to the keyboard. And the second I go, no! And I said, are you a professional musician? And I knew they would be. And he said, yes! I said, I played loud and long that night. And I did. I had a great time.
Yeah.
You know?
And is it all improvised or is it...
I can't play the same thing twice because I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
I wouldn't know how.
And are you able to do like chords? Like
Yeah, sometimes that happens. It's amazing when it happens. It's really exciting. I
you
mean,
recorded it? Are you
Yeah,
paying
no,
for
I
it?
have. There's hundreds of them, of course, you know. I mean, it's complete nuts. But when it comes together, and it does every now and again, I'll get one. You know what I mean? I'll get something. Something will happen. And this is called 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the beginning.
And a 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4. A 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, 5. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hey.
And this is the end. Hang on. A lot of it is about self-encouragement.
That's not you.
This is me.
That's not you.
It is me. Same tune. See, that was music. I was thrilled with this. I mean, thrilled. I had no idea I could get... Look at this shit. This is genius. That was using the drum brush and the little Tibetan thing and playing with one hand. That was a great day.
Was that at a show or in your house?
Huh?
Was that at a show or in
No,
your
it's
house?
in my house.
That's
This is
in your
my
house.
hall. That's the other day. It's so exciting. Can you imagine? I mean, world domination is inevitable. Don't you think?
I think that's... I can't imagine being more pleased with anything anybody's ever created than to go from 1, 2, 2, 1 to 1, 3, 4. To seconds later, this fucking... And who do you tell? Like, who do you tell?
I don't know. I've got a couple of pals in Brighton who I'm playing with who we're recording some stuff, and they're brilliant guys. They're brilliant musicians. They're brilliant, brilliant guys, Eddie and Mark, and they're fantastic. So we're going to do some more and see what happens. I don't know.
I don't think you need them.
I need every bit of help I can get
Oh,
from
that's
everyone.
great.
I've been very lucky, you know, all my life with people I work with. Very lucky, very lucky. Everybody who's put me on stage and got me around and made sure it all happens, I've been very, very, very blessed with that.
Are you planning another tour?
Yeah, I will do it, but right now I need to do other stuff. I'm going to write. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to, you know, which I've been saying for years, but I'm going to do it. I've got something on the go that I like. I want to do a lot more pictures. I want to do music because music is... Everyone should do music. Music is medicine.
Yeah. Well, it is great to see you, and I do, I think very highly of you.
It's good to see you.
And thanks for coming on the show, man.
Nice talking.
Welcome back to the second half, everybody. Freddie, who's next?
Tommy, our next guest is Sarah de la Garde.
Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm Sarah. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great now, Sarah. What's the story with... Is that a robot arm?
It is. It's a bionic arm. And obviously, there's a story behind it.
Yeah, please, yeah.
And it's not just the arm. I'm basically 80% human, 20% robot. I have a prosthetic leg as well.
Yeah, wow.
And so, shall I tell you the story?
Please do, please.
So I was in a bad accident about a year ago. On the 30th of September, I travelled home from work. I live in London, and I got onto the tube and got off at the wrong station and turned around, wanted to reboard the stationary train and slipped on a puddle of water, fell against the train, broke my nose, my front teeth, had a cut across my neck, fell backwards into the gap, and nobody heard me, nobody saw me, and the train departed. And I got run over by a second train coming into the station. I was 15 minutes out there, screaming for my life, held on by the thoughts of my 2 children, and eventually somebody heard me, and I was screaming over and over again, "My name is Sarah, somebody help me, I don't want to die." Eventually somebody heard me and called emergency services.
Was there a moment when you were on the track where you felt as if you could have died?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes, I guess I knew when the train departed that something was really, really badly wrong with my right side. There was a flash of extreme pain, and then, as if by miracle, there was a switch in my brain that just flipped off, and I couldn't feel any pain. But I knew that I was not in the place I was meant to be, and I needed to do everything I could to save myself. But there was a moment when the second train came in and claimed my leg that I felt this is a long, enduring experience, and maybe somebody is not going to come straight away. And and there was a moment where I could feel the coldness in my chest.
Yeah.
It's like a ball of ice, and it spreads. And at that moment I thought, okay, this is it, I'm going to die. And then I had a vision of my two daughters, they're 9 and 13, and their faces flashed up in my mind's eye. And they were like, Mommy, what are you doing? You're coming home. So I know now what it feels like when you die.
And how does that feel?
It feels strangely peaceful, strangely accepting for a moment, where you think, okay, I've lived a good life, I did all of the things that I wanted to do. But then there was a moment where I got really, really angry. I thought, no, this is not. Because, see, 1 month before the accident, I climbed Kilimanjaro. So climbing Kilimanjaro was a dream 10 years in the making. Mm-hmm. It was my husband and I, we both turned 40 during the pandemic, and we thought, we really want to do this. And so it was hard. We spent 8 days on the mountain, sleeping in a tent. There are no showers on the side of the mountain, which I discovered after 4 days, starting to become a little bit difficult to accept. But it was the most amazing experience to, be so close to nature, to feel how we are a little part in a big, big universe. Yeah. And it was the most intense, incredible, I almost heard the angels sing.
And how did that, did you say that came into your head when you were on the train track?
Yes. So that was exactly a month before. So you have to imagine you stand on top of the world, and then a month later, you find yourself hitting rock bottom, literally going from, one extreme to the other. And while I was lying on the tracks, in that moment where I got angry, I said, I am not dying here. I just climbed Kilimanjaro. This is not happening.
So the first fall took your arm, is that right?
Yep. The first train that departed crushed my arm.
And the second one, your leg?
Yeah, crushed my leg.
Who found you?
So a station staff found me and then raised the alarm. But the real work was the emergency services, the air ambulance came, and they had to extract me from underneath, again, a stationary train.
And to be so soft, like a human body is so soft compared to the kind of the violent toughness of a train, isn't it? It's kind of, you don't have a hope.
20 tons, one carriage, 20 tons. The wheels, what was the scariest part was that I really tried to help myself. Like, once I got this angry, I found extra energy. In the fall, I had lost my phone, and I thought, if only I can get that phone, I can call for help. So I crawled over 2 meters over the tracks to retrieve the phone. It was pouring down with rain, and I picked up the phone, tried to roll back into the safety in between the track and the platform. There's a little lip, and I tried to open the phone with facial recognition.
Oh my God, of course.
It didn't work. And it was like, who's this person? Because I looked a fright. I had like probably dirt all over the blood and whatever,
Yeah.
and teeth missing and all. And I thought, okay, right, so that's not working.
Hang on, were people not able to see you? Or
There wasn't, I don't know, nobody, it wasn't late. It was on a Friday at about 9-ish. And normally people would be there. And I saw the CCTV footage in hindsight. There were people walking around, but, you know, people these days put their headphones on and are slightly, cut off from
yeah,
the environment.
what? After you were brought to safety, what decisions did you have to make?
The most dramatic decision was having to have that conversation with the surgeon once I was prepped to go into theatre. And the surgeon, you know, in medical terms, explained to me that these limbs were no longer viable. And I think my first thought was, hang on a minute, limbs with an S? I thought it was just the arm. I said, no, the leg as well. And I thought, oh no, I wasn't really expecting that for some reason.
So your body had flushed so much kind of an anaesthetic through you that you had no idea that your leg was gone as well?
Yeah. It was really weird, this mixture of, stress and adrenaline that curses through your body. It's actually reassuring to know.
But thank God, because,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise, I don't know, I'd probably die of a heart attack, I guess. And this man asked me to sign a consent form for amputation. And I remember thinking, how am I going to sign that? Because I'm right-handed. And the surgeon said, oh, you know, just put something there, a cross. So I remember that.
Where was your husband?
He was at home in bed, and he got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning to come to the hospital because his wife had suffered life-changing injuries.
He was probably wondering where you were as well. I mean,
Yeah,
but there's no pickup from your phone, so...
no. So he was trying to call me, and you could see it afterwards on the phone. There were lots of missed calls, but that was when it was too late already.
What did he say when he saw you?
That is probably the most intense memory that I have, emotionally intense, because this is the first time I saw him with complete panic across his face. You know, first a big smile, and then the tears came, and we just spent, I don't know how long, in each other's arms, where we just said, like, I'm so happy that I'm alive, that I made it.
So that the leg and the arm were amputated?
Yeah.
The kids must have been shocked beyond
Yes. Yes.
anything you'd ever want for them.
Yes. I mean, I didn't have the conversation with them. My husband did. And yes, it was a very impactful conversation. But surprisingly, the girls have reacted pretty resilient to this. And they came to visit me the next day at the hospital and came with drawings, and they drew the whole family, including our 2 cats, and me with a robotic arm and a robotic leg. So on day 2, they had already envisioned my future. I was still to accept what happened to me,
Yeah.
but they already projected. And I thought that was very motivating.
Yeah. How old are they?
9 and 13,
Okay.
yeah.
Which kind of injury upset you the most? Because I know the arm and the leg were obviously, shockingly traumatic. But I want to think about your teeth. When you're lying in hospital, kind of, and your nose, and you said your neck was cut as well. Like,
Yeah, it was, honestly, I'm glad you asked the question, because everybody was focusing on the amputations, and yet the teeth were really important. But it's true. It's true because, I mean, I looked at myself and I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And then you have like family visiting, all your friends are coming, your colleagues are coming, and you're looking...
I just imagine you're just kind of, there with one leg and one arm.
Yes.
And you're going, my teeth, I've no fucking teeth.
So I was determined to get this fixed, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Especially because when we a lot of the time when we look in the mirror, we're looking at our face, and that's how we present ourselves to the world. You know, you can kind of
yeah,
you can ignore other stuff maybe a little bit, but not your face.
no. And it was really important because this can look quite scary. It's quite foreign to people. There are not, you know, that many visible injuries like that, and it upsets people sometimes.
Are there power settings on the arm? Like, can you
Yes.
really? Like, could you
Yeah.
crush a glass if you wanted to?
I haven't tried that, but I did. I mean, the kids were really like, "Mum, can you crush a can of Coke?"
Yeah, yeah.
So I did do that, but it had to be empty because we didn't want any spillage. So there is a setting on the program of the arm that you can adjust the grip. You can have a strong grip, you can have a soft grip.
yeah. I have a filthy mind, but we'll have to ignore that now and move on.
Yes, let's move on.
How does it work?
So everything happens on the outside of your arm. So my remaining limb stops about here. And this is a socket that has been custom built. It has 16 electrodes inside. They are strategically placed on the remaining muscles, and they are sensitive enough to feel slight twitches and movements of that remaining muscle. So I think about a movement,
You're kidding me.
I twitch my muscles, and the movement happens. And that's not the most amazing part. So the most amazing part in this is that there is a server in the arm that records every movement that I make that is linked to a software that works with artificial intelligence that helps me do these movements. It basically detects the patterns that in the morning, I get up, I open my hand, I grab something. It knows when I start doing this movement that I want to extend my digits, and it helps me do that.
Okay. You haven't seen the scene from Dr. Strangelove where Peter Sellers' arm attacks him?
Yes.
Have you
So that question is a good question. Very legitimate question is, could somebody remotely access...
Could somebody hack your arm?
Yes, and then do something with it. That,
Or make you walk someplace you don't want to go?
It's not inside, it's not inbuilt, so I take it off at night to charge
You don't have a
it.
horror of like, being lying there at night and this next thing hearing... or to see the arm
Just hit me.
see the arm crawling out the bedroom door down the hall or something.
Like the Addams Family. No, it's not like that. But it's fairly heavy, and I had to train quite a bit with my physio. So first to learn how to walk again. So,
Yeah.
That was a big adjustment and vital, because I think you asked me before, what is the bigger issue? My children did this game with me, say, would you rather lose your leg or your arm?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, I would rather lose my arm than my leg, because without a leg, you can't get out of bed. I find it very difficult to not be mobile. The privilege of mobility.
Yeah.
The realization that, without your legs, life becomes really difficult.
Have you ever had that part of your arm kissed since the accident?
Very good question. My kids have done that. They give me a hug, and they say, give a special hug for the little arm, as they call it. They help me with the acceptance and making it less scary. They drew some googly eyes.
Yeah.
And it's their way of accepting it, but it's also my way of looking at it and saying, okay, it's not as scary to them, so it shouldn't be scary to me.
Have you been on the tube since?
No. And there's a few reasons for that. So first reason is I am terrified by sounds of trains, seeing wheels. Like every movie that has a train incoming into the station, it's always filmed at wheel level. And every time it just sends me into like this. So there's that's the PTSD part. But there's also a part of me that is quite angry with Transport for London, because TfL's statements were describing this as a freak accident. Like, you were really unlucky that this happened. And I don't believe that is true. I don't believe it was a freak accident at all. I have a little bit of anger simmering. I have a little bit of bitterness, lingering. But this is not just about me. This is about other people. It's about my children. They are going on the Transport for London network.
I know that you can sometimes sense in yourself that this bitterness and anger is there, but it's a real pleasure talking to you. That's not what hits you.
Yeah.
Sitting opposite you,
Because it's a privilege to be alive. And I know that we all are afraid of growing old, right? It's especially, we have a tendency to say, oh, we're too big, too small, too fat, too thin, the grey hairs, and then the changes that happen to your body. We dislike that and we try to stop it. But we forget that we're so lucky that we made it so far.
Yeah.
And I'm cherishing every moment that I have now, because I know, well, in the blink of an eye, things can change forever.
Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you for letting me tell you the story.
Welcome back to the third half, everybody. Freddie, who's next?
Tommy, our next guest is Sean Ronayne.
Sean,
Hi.
how's it going?
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, fella. Sit down there.
I'd say you'll not have a clue who I am anyway.
No. Where are you from?
Can you guess?
Well, you're down south somewhere anyway.
Yeah, Cork.
Cork.
Yeah.
What's your story, Sean?
So I'm an ornithologist and a wildlife sound recordist, and for the last 3 years I've been on a mission to sound record every bird in Ireland.
Wow.
So, yeah, it all started when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old with my father, really.
Yeah.
So my father and his father were both very much into birds, and I was very much a hyperactive child.
Yeah.
So my father would bring me out in the pram, and what he would do is he'd bring me to the local nature reserve, and he'd imitate the sounds of the birds there, and then he'd ask me, what am I imitating?
Yeah.
So it just went from there then, and it became a lifelong obsession, really.
I was with a friend of mine in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
Who has learnt how to become a tracker. So he can track animals through forests and across the desert and all different types of animals. And he has learned a lot about bird calls as well.
Yeah.
And he was saying to me that he's able to tell the difference. He knows when a bird is saying, there's someone coming.
Yeah.
And when the bird is saying, there's somebody coming with a gun.
Oh, really?
So is that level of detail...
Look, it's I'm telling you now, it's absolutely unbelievable, the details you can get from birdsong. And this, like, it really only got to this level for me in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years. My partner, Alba, she's from Barcelona, and when I moved there first, I work as an ornithologist, so I have to be able to identify birds by eye and by ear. And there were a lot of species there that were obviously new to me, it being in Barcelona, so I got a small little sound recorder. And if I ever encountered something that I didn't know, I would capture it with that. Its own kind,
wow. So what's the work of recording all the birds in the country?
Yeah, it's been so magical, really. I need a project. I'm hyper, I need to be active and I need to be excited about something.
Yeah.
Always, always. Alba will tell you now. I'm liable to get up at 10 o'clock at night and say, Alba, I'm going out with a hydrophone and I'm going recording, and I'll be gone. And I just have to.
And is it not? But in something like that now, do you not know exactly what you're going to get when you go out recording?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I plan it, but sometimes I don't. And I enjoy that. I enjoy. It's very releasing, you know. It's very releasing. For me, I feel a lot of stress with anthropogenic noise. So human-made noise sources, especially living close to Cork City as I do.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, when I go out into nature, it's as if, imagine you're swimming in a pool and you're underwater and you're holding your breath and you're running out of air and you're running out of air and you're running out of air, and then finally when you go out into nature, you take a big breath. That's what it's like to me, you know.
And do you earn a living doing this recording? How?
Well, so I've actually only just gone self-employed. What day do we have?
I love the way Cork people, they tell you something and they end it so like there's a question. Like, it felt like you were asking me, am I actually self-employed?
I saw a great skip by you actually in the Cork accent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've only been self-employed now a few days, but it's brilliant. So what I had been doing all along is working as a full-time ornithologist for a consultancy.
Yeah.
You know? I've got a few sounds to play for you, by the way.
Great,
I've got a good few.
Yeah, please, yeah.
So I suppose that links us into one nicely there. So in the upland, have you heard of hen harrier?
Yep.
Okay, so
I've heard of them. I couldn't tell you one from.
Yeah, so this is one of the most difficult birds for me to record, because we're now, in the last estimate, I think, which was released in 2015, we're down to 157 pairs, between 108 and 157 pairs, which is, you know, it's minuscule.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're also very silent. They're absolutely stunning. They call them the grey ghost. They're lovely, like a pure silver, elegant raptor with black wingtips, and they just kind of float over the heath like this. Yeah. This hen harrier that you're going to hear now, this is an adult hen harrier calling. And it's one of the first recordings. So it's a subtle call.
I mean, it's lovely, you know. I can understand how it would settle you in terms of feeling discombobulated and stressed with the noise of society.
Yeah.
And then hearing that and just feeling as if for a moment you're put back into balance. But if you'd have heard that and not known what you were recording, would you have known what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I obsess over this. Like, one other kind of side project which came out of this was long-form soundscapes, free from anthropogenic noise.
Yes.
So, like, when I had to work from home, like, I'm always pining to be out, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could write this report, but pretend I was in nature, and just put my headphones on and bring myself out to the mountains, or bring myself down to the coast. So there was nothing like that from Ireland. So I said, this is another thing I can do. So I started collecting, like visiting different habitats and setting out microphones maybe for 48 hours or longer, and then I could pick, you know, hours that are free from noise and just.
So can people like buy, say, I want 2 hours of just countryside?
Yeah, I mean, I have nearly 10,000 recordings amassed in these last 3 years. So I have almost every species in Ireland recorded now, bar 3. And I've had to get a new laptop because my laptop just isn't working anymore. There's just so much on it. It's unbelievable, really. There's another species called common whitethroat. It's a very small migratory bird. So in the summer, it breeds in Ireland, but in the winter, it migrates back down through, in autumn, it will migrate back down through the Mediterranean, and it will winter in Senegal, typically. And these are astounding, I mean, unbelievable mimics. So they soak up everything. And what I did is I started to record these when they just arrived back in the breeding territories in Ireland, because I wanted to know, were they mimicking species from the Mediterranean or even Africa?
Yeah.
And it happened so fast. They fly up and they sing in the air, and it's about 70 to 80% mimicry of other species back to back. It's like a manic jazz musician, you know?
Yeah.
So what you have to do is record it, bring it back to the desk, and break it down piece by piece. And I started picking out all the species. And Alva would come in and she'd find me with my eyes popping out of my head at 2 in the morning. She says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm learning the bird called the Senegal."
That's incredible.
So after some time, I realised that it was mimicking a species called white-throated bee-eater, which only occurs south of the Sahara. And I was hearing this in Cork. So this bird, it's singing its life story, where it's been, stamps on a passport, you know? So there's so much information there for us to tap into if we're willing to listen and willing to dig. It's astounding, honestly, really. And even now, after 3 years, I feel like I'm only after scratching the surface of this, you know? So.
Do you think you have stuff in common with birds?
In what sense?
I don't know. I'm just wondering. You get so much joy.
Well, I suppose you're right. Like when I think about this, when I'm out in nature, listening to birds, or even just wandering around, I have a sense of freedom. You know, in the literal sense, but also in a metaphorical sense, in that I release all of my anxiety and my stress. It's gone. I forget about it. You know, it's where I'm at home. It's magic. And I have a recording. It's one of my favourite recordings to show you. So it's of a species called hooper swan. So it's not like our typical swan, the mute swan. It's another species that migrates from Iceland to winter here, and they have this wonderful trumpeting sound. And what you're about to hear is a flock of hooper swans trumpeting to one another. They migrate as a family group after arriving successfully in a coastal lake in Wexford in a thunderstorm. And when I listen to this, if I'm working at home, it just takes me to another place. It's magic.
And you don't find yourself getting impatient with it?
No.
Do you? Like,
no.
I'd be a little bit kind of, okay.
Yeah. No. I mean,
like, do you listen to it on headphones?
like it's not like listening to an album, look, you know, where you have to pay attention to the detail and listen to every word. It's in the background, you know. I'm absorbing it without really having to think. I'm relaxing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the intention of these. So I will be releasing these as an album for others to do the same.
And so how long will the tracks be?
I think I still have to kind of whittle it down, but minimum 30 minutes to an hour.
Lovely.
But like, you don't have to sit down and focus on this track for an hour. It's to, let's say you want to meditate. Let's say you've had a stressful day. You want to sit down, relax. Let's say you're doing a mundane task and you want to take yourself out to nature, but you can't be in nature. So these tracks, now, maybe it's just me. It just takes me to another place when I'm.
I totally get that, and hearing you talking about it is as beautiful as listening to the birds.
Yeah, it's
need it.
It's another world. Yeah,
you need it.
Yeah. There's one other aspect of all of this that will probably make sense to you now that I've described some things. At the age of. What age am I now? I'm 35. At the age of 32, I was actually diagnosed with Asperger's.
Yeah.
And so this is where it all comes from: the sensitivity to noise.
Yeah.
The longing to escape from society, in a sense, and seeking solace in nature, but also it allows me to really focus on the fine details, and it also means that I have hyper focus in areas that I'm really passionate about. So I'll just keep digging and digging and digging and digging, you know.
You see, the danger with that is that it gives people an opportunity to devalue what you're doing. So if you say, you know, I'm doing this because I have a condition, the way you talk about the birds and how it animates you, and your gentility and just your soul coming through in talking about our countryside and the animals that we shared this with, that has nothing to do with Asperger's.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't compartmentalize. Well, I only do this, you know, because I'm on the spectrum or whatever. I don't think so.
Well, for me, this whole project ended up being so much more than just sound recording every bird or wanting to sound record these quiet places. It brought me as a person out of my shell. Like it transformed me essentially.
Okay,
Like when I was young, you know, I kind of struggled with the social element of people, and I was petrified, and I mean petrified of speaking, not only in public, but to people, especially new people. And this has given me such a deep fascination and profound knowledge, and I love to share it with other people and delve into that. And I never in a million years thought that I would be able to sit here and speak to you or stand up on a stage, and it's been wonderful in that sense.
Yeah.
But for me, the positives far outweigh the negatives. I wouldn't change it for anything.
What are the negative parts of Asperger's?
So, always when I was younger, I had a thing with eye contact, and I never realised it. And I was thinking, why do people insist on staring at me in the eye? And I was thinking, and I thought everybody does it, so I obviously have to do it. But how many seconds do I have to hold the gaze? And so I would be doing it for too long, or I'd be doing it for too little. And I'm thinking, Jesus, I'm making them feel awkward. I knew there was. I was like, how did they know how to do this? And when I would date people, and if any of them are watching now, they'll realise, I would insist, right, that I would sit next to them, and we would both be looking forward. But you know, these are just the social quirks.
Yeah,
like, you know?
yeah.
And I would be very, very nervous of meeting people, and I didn't get sarcasm. I didn't kind of get the social cues and that, you know. But over time, then you kind of you kind of learn them in a kind of weird mechanical way. You force yourself to do it, like, you know, only because you see the reaction when you do it the other way.
Sean, it's a beautiful way of being in the world.
Can I play you a mystery sound?
Yeah, please.
So have a guess. Have a guess of what this is.
Okay. Something about a frog, is it?
No.
What is it?
So when I sent it to my friend, he said it sounds like an old man farting in the bath, right? But you know what it is? This was recorded with a hydrophone. So I dropped a hydrophone down the side of the pier at Ballycotton in Cork.
Yeah.
It's a cod.
A cod?
Yeah. So they grunt, and lots of fish grunt like this. So what this is there's some muscles attached to the gas-filled chamber called the swim bladder, and it vibrates and creates this sound. This is how they communicate. This is my next project.
To go recording fish?
Fish and marine mammals and whatever else. I'm going underwater now next year.
Wow. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Sean. It's a real pleasure. Thank you. That was wonderful. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're familiar with throat singing, but you're about to hear some. Please welcome all the way from southern Siberia. It's Hun Hur 2 performing Erbek Aksa.
Sayar asane, guru haldanan Raksen